Hello there, tuned in to Smart 24 TV. Thank you for joining us for this particular bulletin. I'm Rona Nahabwe with Winnie Wiinza Nakawuch the sign language interpretation. Before we kick it off, here's a quick look at our top stories. In business today, government has been urged to adopt a human rights-based approach by scrapping off 6% interest on PDM. Ministries, agencies and departments have been encouraged to allocate 0.1% of their budget to AIDS-related activities. And the Auditor General's report states that the Uganda Airlines underperformed by 207 billion shillings. You're welcome once again to Business Today. Thank you for the pleasure of your time. Now, to begin with, government, in conjunction with various stakeholders, have unveiled estimated 52.7 trillion shillings national budget month for financial year 2023-2024. It is a collective effort bringing together policymakers, entrepreneurs, industry leaders, experts, and the public, aiming to transform Uganda's economic landscape. Here's a look.
Uganda's economy has shown signs of recovery with projected GDP growth of 5.5% for current year, attributed to prudent economic policies, improved agricultural productivity, and favorable global conditions. Budget estimates for financial year 2023-2024 amount to 52.737 trillion shillings, a substantial increase from previous year, demonstrating government's commitment to addressing our nation's evolving needs and fostering sustainable development. Looking ahead, growth is projected at a rate of 6% and an average of 7% over medium term.
Financial year can be broken down as follows. Number one, domestic resources. The resources we are going to generate from within the country, 33.3 trillion shillings. Project support, the money we are going to get, both from loans but also from grants, to develop our projects, 8.256 trillion. Budget support, this is money which we are going to borrow to add to the budget revenue which we have from URA and other non-tax revenue. We are going to borrow 2.782 trillion. Then domestic refinancing, this is money which we already borrowed in the past, but we are having an opportunity of staying with this money and we use it for the future instead of paying it back, and we just pay interest. This is 8.35 trillion shillings.
In fiscal year 2023-2024, Uganda Revenue Authority is expected to collect over 29.3 trillion shillings, which marks increment of over 3.7 trillion from the current year's target. This ambitious goal underscores importance of URA's role in generating the necessary revenue for our nation's development. According to Rojochi Musinguzi, Commissioner General URA, citizens of Uganda hold immense power and responsibility in shaping direction of our economy through valuable feedback and suggestions that can create a budget that truly serves the interest of people.
Uganda Revenue Authority is a key participant in this budget process. One, because we contribute or we collect the national domestic revenues that are a significant component of the budget. From where we are today, we have already received our fair share of the budget that we'll contribute to. But as a country, it is our ultimate goal and dream that we'll be able to get to a place where our national revenues cover our national budget.
Furthermore, retreating global commodity prices, influenced by tight monetary policies, played a significant role in global economic recovery. However, it is Essential to acknowledge that such policies have brought about increased issues in global banking sector. The steadfast commitment to returning inflation to single digits has yielded positive results, with headline and core inflation declining to 8% and 6.8% respectively as of April 2023. This attributed to implementation of appropriate monetary and fiscal policies.
On the domestic scene, Bank of Uganda has endeavored to return inflation to single digit, and it's edging close to the 5% target. Indeed, annual headline and core inflation declined to 8% and 6.8% in April 2023.
It is crucial to recognize power of collaboration and address challenges of corruption linkages. Government, private sector, civil society organizations, and development partners must join efforts to translate this vision into a tangible reality. This positive outlook is driven by factors such as increased oil and gas activities, implementation of parish development model, regional trade expansion, and improved global economic conditions.
The purpose of National Budget Month, the way we started it, was definitely to provide accountability on how government is going to provide these resources. And ever since COVID, I think there is one element that is still meeting, where each and every government agency would display to us and show what they have used the money for the financial year that was.
Also championing the move to widen the tax base, especially to ease the burden of Uganda Revenue Authority when it comes to revenue collection, to make it easy for them, and that can be done through private sector development.
In line with our budget strategy, aiming to enhance agricultural productivity and create a conducive environment for value addition can help boost the economy. Bronia Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Let's now turn our focus to revamping air transport. Ministry of Works and Transport, together with officials from Uganda Airlines, have highlighted the vast recovery of the air transport sector. This has been through coordinated efforts focused on optimizing resources, expanding routes, and implementing robust safety measures, all contributing to the sector's resurgence. Here's a look at the story.
The Auditor General report states that Uganda Airlines underperformed by 207 billion and is still having difficulty maintaining its services and growth. In order to maximize resources, broaden networks and promote expansion, a number of initiatives are put into practice, including cost optimization, revenue enhancement, infrastructure development, and seeking collaborations and partnerships with other airlines, industry stakeholders, and government organizations.
We are not looking at making the profits first. We are looking at the airline as an infrastructure to enable and help other sectors of the economy to grow. And in that we have registered good performance. If you want to look, for example, at the exports of our fresh foods, which are being carried by Uganda Airlines, I wouldn't know where you are saying there's a decline. Actually, the volumes are going up every other day. The passengers are growing, so I don't know what the decline is all about, but it's in terms, because people look at have they made money. I don't think even your small businesses make money or make profits in the first 2-3 years.
As Uganda Airlines is still grappling with bureaucracy and the red tape of regulatory regimes that impede inter-Africa connectivity, which has slowed productivity. However, efforts to harmonize regulatory frameworks and establish regional agreements will play a significant role in facilitating smoother operations for the airlines operating across African borders.
Cutting the bureaucracy and red tape of regulatory regimes that impede intra-Africa connectivity. Uganda Airlines is a victim of this. Creating pathways for increased partnerships and collaboration within the continent to reduce the fragility of startup airlines. As you're all aware, we are a startup airline, and that's one of our mandates to change as AFRA.
Furthermore, investing in the development and nurturing of the next generation of aviators will increase diversity, recognizing that the future of the industry lies in the hands of talented and skilled individuals. It becomes imperative to prioritize the growth and empowerment of aspiring aviators.
Our country is set to be marketed on the global stage. The delegates will enjoy the beauty of nature by visiting our game parks. Hopefully we are going to make the program quite flexible for them to be able to do that, trek the gorillas in Bwindi, and immerse themselves in our culture and food and hospitality and the warmth of Uganda, for which we are best known. The event also brings to life optimism in the aviation sector and justification to nurture the next generation of aviators to grow the industry.
The 55th AFRA Annual General Assembly will open wider opportunities and capitalize on the current positive momentum within the aviation sector through networking, knowledge sharing, and collaboration, fostering an environment conducive to the exploration of new business opportunities and partnerships. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, a study assessment on parish development model by Center for Food and Adequate Living has revealed that the poorest of the poor Ugandans have not benefited from the program due to lack of requirements such as big chunks of land, national identity cards, among others, as well as most women fear the 6% interest that was put on the PDM loans. Samla Hanifa has details to this report.
Parish development model is a strategy that was adopted by government targeting subsistence households and vulnerable groups, giving them ideas to eradicate themselves from poverty. For PDM to be implemented fully, demographic information has to be clear together with household data. A study case of 2 districts of Kaliro and Mukono indicates that many people have not followed the enterprises they were put under and have opted to do other activities with the money. Ignorance about the legal framework by many beneficiaries and the poorest of the poor have not benefited due to lack of requirements. According to the Executive Director of CIFROT, for government to fulfill the intended purpose of PDM, it needs to adopt a human rights-based approach, and in so doing, it has to scrap off the 6% interest that was put on the PDM revolving loan.
We want government to embrace what we call a human rights-based approach, specifically to make sure that each and every person, the intended beneficiaries, participate. Because what is happening now, some of the intended beneficiaries are not benefiting in the program. Secondly, it is our request that they scrap the interest on the revolving loan, because the many women we have spoken to cannot afford that interest. We wanted to scrap the entire loan, at least for the money to be given as a grant, but other people must benefit. So what we want government to do, get off the interest such that people are not running to make money, to bring back your money, but to get out of poverty.
Mr. Kawanda says PDM targets the majority poor, and many of them did not go to school, but the documents come in English, which is very foreign to them.
We also are asking government to interpret these documents into local languages such that people can read and understand. And another thing, we want to see a separation between the LC2 political wing and the PDC. What is happening now, there is a confusion between the political LC2 council and the PDC. So it is fueling, favoritism and no checks and balances. And that is not going to take us anywhere.
Fred Maxim Balumia, a PDM focal person, indicates that perhaps government did not learn from the past programs and rushed PDM without carrying out baseline data collection, because the PDM guidelines keep changing every now and then, confusing the implementers.
As a government, we have not learned from the past. There are a number of projects which have come into force, but at the end point, they fail to have the impact expected. We first have the first things to be done, we do them last. For example, PDM has been rushed, to be honest. Has been rushed. They would have gained, maybe like the way CIFROT is doing it, the baseline survey, baseline data collection, to assess the fertility, to assess the real condition on ground before implementing but we were rushed without even a baseline survey.
Some of the women beneficiaries of PDM cash have showed their gratitude towards government over the program, but have pleaded for the resource envelope to be increased, as the money which they received did not fully cover the expenses of the enterprises they carried out. These have also complained of language barrier, which makes the process hectic for them. I'm one of the beneficiaries and I'm grateful to government. We got 1 million shillings each and we are rearing animals and poultry. But the issue is the money is not enough for buying the animals and making homesteads for these animals. Most of the documents are written in English and you have to look for an interpreter to help you understand, which is hectic sometimes. Parish development model is government's magic bullet to get the 39% of households out of poverty. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Thank you, Samla Hanifa, for that report. Now, moving on to HIV/AIDS funding gap. As Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate AIDS Candlelight Memorial, the Director General of Uganda AIDS Commission, Nelson Musoba, has encouraged government ministries, agencies and departments to allocate 0.1% of their budget to AIDS-related activities in order to avoid overdependence on foreign funding. It shouldn't be forgotten that Uganda is among the 51 countries that relies on international sources for aid for HIV patients. Pedson Mumbele reports.
The Uganda AIDS Commission Director General Nelson Musoba has called on government to shoulder a half of the AIDS funding burden in a bid to reduce donor dependence. To reach to this, therefore, during the Minister of Energy AIDS Candlelight Memorial Day, Musoba encouraged ministries, agencies and departments to allocate at least 0.1% of their fiscal year budget to AIDS-related activities.
We've worked with the Minister of Finance and ensured that in addition planning for these things, every government department allocates a minimum of 0.1% of their budget to HIV/AIDS related activities. That in a way enables us to, build our own programs as government and not rely solely on donors, because if that percentage of 0.1, while it's a minimum, it can be increased. Slowly we should be able to wean ourselves away from donor reliance and have our own budget that can fund these HIV and AIDS activities.
According to the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, Irene Batebe, the ministry has been focused on allocating funds towards reducing HIV stock AIDS, and that they have currently integrated 0.1% of their budget as per the need.
We have also focused on allocating funding to support our drive against HIV and AIDS. So in our current budget, we have integrated 0.1% of HIV/AIDS activities into our programs and projects, and we continue to improve on that figure as the funding becomes available. But we also continue to provide financial support to those who have declared their HIV/AIDS serostatus and those with other related diseases.
This is something that attaches all of us, that affects all of us. So we should not stigmatize people who are living with HIV. We should not stigmatize people who are talking about HIV or who are making the awareness, because at the end of the day, we should all contribute as a global solidarity to end AIDS by 2030.
Gloria Nawenyanga, the founder of Gilo Young Positive Foundation, and is a young person born and living with HIV, who as well encouraged the government to consider offering scholarships to children living with HIV and lost their parents but do not have finances to support their education.
And my name is Nawanyaka Gloria. I am a young person born and living with HIV. I am an HIV advocate. I am a human rights lawyer. And we request and make an appeal to the government of Uganda to provide scholarships for people living with HIV, especially young people living with HIV who lost their parents due to AIDS and they really don't have enough financial support to go to school.
The current statistics indicate that Uganda has approximately 1.4 million people living with HIV, indicating an HIV prevalence of 5.4%. Of these, women are the most affected at 840,000, followed by men at 500,000 and children at 88,000. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Now, in commemoration of the World Meteorology Day 2023, the Uganda National Bureau of Standards has taken a proactive approach by engaging stakeholders on the importance of metrology and prepackaged control guidelines. This initiative aims to strengthen the global food system and address the challenges faced by businesses, particularly regarding the pre-verification conformity PVOC. We have more of this story. The existing Weights and Measurement Act, Cap 103, which governs legal metrology in Uganda, is in dire need of a comprehensive update. This revision is essential to guarantee accurate measurements in trade and uphold public health standards, as well as ensure human safety and safeguard the environment, as well as align it to current industry practices and advancements, ultimately fostering a more reliable and secure trading environment.
It has a good spirit of enforcing legal metrology. Somehow it has gotten outdated. Currently, it's being amended by the Parliament of Uganda. We have the legal metrology bill that has been presented to the floor of Parliament by the First Parliamentary Council, and we're optimistic that the President will soon assent it into law. Talking about the divisions that we manage under that law, we have the Weights and Measures Division that handles all weighing and measuring equipment across the country. We have the Volume and Flow Division that looks at bulk meters, trucks and static tanks, as well as rail wagons. We have the Prepackaged Division that verifies all prepacked goods on the Ugandan market, as well as the Utilities section that verifies all energy meters that are put on the national grid before one can use them on the Ugandan market. The most compliant of them all is the Utilities Division.
You have a quality mark from UNBS. That's already evidence that that product was measured and tested and meets the standards. And for those who use equipment within their factories, when we calibrate them, we also put a sticker on them to identify them from the rest. And also we issue them what we call calibration certificates. These certificates give them a chart that shows the measurements they are carrying out and their accuracies.
In a firm stance against underweight bread products in the market, the Uganda National Bureau of Standards has issued a strong announcement to all bread manufacturers supplying to supermarkets. These manufacturers who have been involved in underweight practices will soon face the weight of the law.
I caution people who are dealing in bread to be very careful and start working according to the regulations that we have on weights, because if we find we are about to start operations and if we find anybody displaying for sale or transporting bread that is underweight, that does not conform to the quantity of bread displayed on the package, we shall be taking action, and any disciplinary measure and action. It could be legal. We could even have to prosecute some of them.
During the engagement, it was also revealed that numerous businesses are also grappling with a pre-verification of conformity compliance, and UNBS as a regulatory body has responded by issuing a stern warning to companies that continue to package substandard products, and this objective serves as a warning to safeguard consumers from potentially unsafe goods.
Getting a container from abroad, the things have been put on board on the shipping. They reach here, and then UNBS says, no, they don't meet the standard. This becomes a hell of loss, and the industries will collapse day after day, because some of using the technology, using the systems that we have, we must connect UNBS technologies with the rest of the world, especially in key countries where we are getting all these kind of merchandise and goods. They should be able to detect that actually the things you are about to bring in Uganda, ship here, are not meeting the standard. Then it can be curtailed from the source to avoid hell and billions of losses that Ugandans and traders are meeting.
Turning equipment, when it reaches here, we calibrate it again. Because the weight has been moved in the plane, on the sea, in the whatever, it gets affected by the movement and the accuracy goes down. So when the equipment reaches here, we calibrate it again. Those who import weighing scales, those who import these micrometers, those who import those meters that we use for testing, when they reach here, we calibrate them again because they have been affected by the movement during the importation. What? Pardon? No, that one is still voluntary. Just pay for the service done, not a fine. Because what you are interested in, it is actually in your interest that the measurement is accurate. So that if you're a manufacturer, your product meets quality standards. If you are doing construction, your building comes out when it is meeting the requirements.
By emphasizing the importance of complying with pre-packaging standards, UNBS aims to safeguard consumer rights, promote fair trade practices, and maintain high-quality products in the market. Collaborative efforts between UNBS and industry players, it is expected that greater awareness and enforcement of pre-packaging compliance will enhance consumer confidence and contribute to overall growth as well as development of Uganda's economy. Ronana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business Today. Now, amidst the ongoing economic challenges, stakeholders for mid-sized companies in Uganda are once again settling their sights on advancing lucrative opportunities within tourism, oil and gas sectors. This has been revealed during the launch of the 100 mid-sized companies under the theme of inclusive access to business transformation services. Here's a look at the story.
Starting, we can start and sign off, and then we'll have a group photo afterwards.
Small and medium enterprises hold significant importance in the Ugandan economy. According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, SMEs contribute approximately 20% of the country's GDP and employ over 2.5 million people, accounting for approximately 90% of the country's workforce. These enterprises operate in diverse sectors, including agriculture, manufacturing, retail services and tourism, serving as the backbone of Uganda's private sector and driving economic diversification and development.
As we have seen over the years, the small and medium-sized sector contributes about 70% to our GDP, and the level of importance to ensure that it grows is critical. Also given the fact that it employs the bigger part of the population. And this project was meant to ensure that this sector is focused on not only by the government, but also the other big players within our economies.
Uganda's vast domestic market, coupled with a growing middle class and increasing consumer demand, presents abundant opportunities for SMEs to expand their customer base. Additionally, membership in the East African Community grants access to a larger regional market of over 150 million people, allowing SMEs to leverage regional integration initiatives and tap into new markets. According to the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Tourism, Doreen Katusime, indicated as the oil and gas sector with tourism comes with potential activities that has an impact on SMEs where private sector can tap into.
Industry as a private sector needs to tap into to make sure that as we explore the oil, the tourism industry grows, because eventually the oil will get finished, but the tourism will always be here. So that is why we have brought together the two sectors, but mainly the tourism private sector, to say there are these opportunities. How do you prepare yourself to take advantage?
Access to finance is a critical challenge for mid-sized companies in Uganda. Despite the efforts of the government and financial institutions to promote inclusive growth, many mid-sized enterprises struggle to secure adequate funding. This scarcity of finance restricts their ability to invest in modern technology, expand operations, and explore new markets, thus constraining their potential contribution to the country's GDP growth.
Our key purpose as DFCU is transforming lives and businesses in Uganda. And that involves doing a number of things. The first one, of course, is to give financial support, as you've indicated. How do we support businesses, and how do we support small businesses in particular to grow? And we support them across all the different facets. And we've done a number of things, and you're asking what do we do about these businesses. The first thing that we've done is to be able to provide them with funding that they require. And we have a number of products that consistent with supporting and understanding how SMEs operate and what you can do to support them. So we offer them the full range of financial services from small, if you're going to call it operating capital, to capex to buy and build enterprises.
Focus on finding out what are the challenges that the small and medium enterprises are facing. And once we have found out those challenges, then we approach policymakers like government to see how these challenges can be overcome. We organize forums where we bring together policymakers, we bring together the medium-sized entities, we bring together the entities that would help these companies to grow. For example, banks, insurance companies, and other players, especially given the challenges that we would have seen. For example, we have noted that over the years, the key challenges that these entities face are things like access to financing. Then they have issues with taxation. They do not either understand taxation or taxation policies are too stringent for them. There is also the issue of competition, which is uneven, which they have faced. So what we have done over this period is, if it is access to finance, is to work together with banks and financial institutions, work together with Uganda Securities Exchange, work together with Capital Markets Authority to see how we can ease access to finance.
SMEs have now been called upon to identify their potential and actively participate in the sectors. The latest call to action emphasizes the importance of these enterprises positioning themselves within a particular industry, seizing the opportunities that lie within.
The SMEs need to tap into those areas. If you're to invest, for example, in butchery machines. And no, I have established myself in Fort Portal area, and I am going to supply all the lodges from Kasese, by the way, Queen Elizabeth. We all don't have meat. You know, like the nice quality cut meats. So you find we are transporting meat from Kampala, taking it to Kasese, taking it to Chibale National Park, because we have nowhere to get supplies. So if we get those SMEs and they come and understand what are the products that these lodges use.
As stakeholders in mid-sized companies set their sights on the immense potential within the tourism, oil and gas sectors, Uganda stands on the brink of an economic transformation. With careful planning, strategic investments and collaborative efforts, these industries have the power to uplift the nation, creating sustainable growth and job opportunities. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
That report will usher us into a short break, but we will return with more. Stick around.
Smart 20